The bass is so loud I can feel it in my ribcage, like a second heartbeat trying to sync with my own. Inferno isn't just a club, it's a cathedral of excess. Crystal chandeliers hang above a dance floor packed with bodies moving like a single organism, all sweat and designer clothes and the kind of desperation that only comes with bottle service minimums. The air tastes like expensive vodka, Tom Ford cologne, and bad decisions. I'm here for work, which is the only reason I'm in the VIP section instead of home in my Brooklyn studio apartment, editing photos in my pajamas like God intended. "Sienna, get closer to the DJ booth!" Marcus, my editor, shouts into my ear, barely audible over the pounding EDM. "We need that crowd energy. Make it look exclusive." I resist the urge to tell him that exclusive and crowd energy are contradictory concepts, and instead lift my Nikon, framing a shot of the elevated DJ surrounded by smoke machines and laser lights. Manhattan Nightlife magazine wants a spread on the city's most elite clubs, and Inferno, owned by some reclusive investor who never makes public appearances, tops the list. The place reeks of money. And something else I can't quite identify, something darker underneath the champagne and strobe lights. I'm a photographer because I see things other people miss. The micro-expressions, the shadows within shadows, the truth hiding behind carefully constructed facades. Right now, I'm noticing that the security here isn't normal club security. These men aren't checking IDs and breaking up drunk fights. They're scanning the crowd with military precision, their suits tailored to hide what I'm pretty sure are weapons, their eyes cold and alert in a way that suggests they've seen violence and didn't blink. "You good?" Marcus asks, noticing my hesitation. "Yeah. Is it normal for a club to have armed guards?" He laughs. "This is Manhattan, babe. Half the people here have bodyguards. Relax, get the shots. We're on deadline." I swallow my unease and move through the crowd, my camera a shield between me and the chaos. I photograph everything. The bartender juggling bottles, the crowd surging toward the bass drop, the VIP tables where bottles with sparklers announce someone's wealth. That's when I see the restricted staircase. It's roped off with thick velvet, a guard stationed at the bottom with the kind of posture that says, "Try me." Above it, I can barely make out another level, darker, more private, the kind of space where the real power players disappear. My journalist instincts kick in, the instincts that got me published in Vogue and National Geographic, the instincts that ignore common sense in pursuit of the perfect shot. I wait until the guard is distracted by two drunk girls arguing over who's on the list, then slip past the rope and up the stairs. The music fades as I climb. Not gone. It's still a physical presence, vibrating through the walls, but muted enough that I can hear my own breathing. The second floor is dimmer, lit by amber sconces that cast everything in warm shadows. There are private rooms here, doors closed, but one is slightly ajar. I should go back downstairs. I don't. I move closer, camera ready on instinct, and peer through the gap. The room is elegant. Leather furniture, a marble bar, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Manhattan skyline. 6 men are inside. 5 of them are standing in a semicircle, tense and alert. The 6th is on his knees, and there's a gun pressed to the back of his head. Time does something strange. Slows down. Speeds up. My brain tries to process what I'm seeing. This isn't a movie. This is real. This is happening 20 feet away from a dance floor full of people, but my hands move on autopilot. I lift my camera. The man holding the gun is speaking in rapid Italian, his voice low and venomous. I don't understand the words, but I understand the tone. Final warning. Last chance. The kneeling man is crying, begging, his expensive suit drenched in sweat and terror. Then the door opens wider, someone leaving the room, and my angle shifts. That's when I see him. He's not holding the gun. He's sitting in a leather chair near the window, one leg crossed over the other, a glass of something amber in his hand. Watching. Not with cruelty or satisfaction, just cold calculation, like he's observing a chess game where the outcome is already decided. He's younger than I expected, mid-30s maybe. Dark hair swept back from a face that's all sharp angles and aristocratic lines. He's wearing a three-piece suit in charcoal gray. The vest fitted perfectly across a lean, muscular frame. His shirt is open at the collar, no tie, just enough skin visible to show the edge of a tattoo I can't make out. But it's his face that stops me, strips away my breath and replaces it with something electric and terrifying. He's beautiful the way a storm is beautiful, dangerous, inevitable, the kind of face that Renaissance painters spent lifetimes trying to capture, masculine perfection with just enough cruelty in the curve of his mouth to remind you he's no saint. And then he looks up, directly at me. I don't know how he knows I'm there. The door is barely cracked. The hallway is dark. I'm not making noise. But his eyes, dark, almost black in the amber light, lock onto mine with the precision of a sniper finding his target. The world stops. The music is gone. The man begging for his life is gone. The gun, the room, the city outside those windows, all of it dissolves into nothing except the space between his gaze and mine. 3 seconds. Maybe 4. In that impossible moment I see everything. He's not surprised I'm there. He's assessing me. Threat level, purpose, whether I matter enough to kill. His eyes move over my face with the methodical attention of someone who memorizes details for a living. The angle of my cheekbones, the way my hair falls across my shoulder, the camera still raised in my shaking hands. I should run, should lower the camera, back away, pretend I saw nothing. Instead, frozen by some combination of terror and fascination, I press the shutter. The click is almost silent, swallowed by the distant bass, but in that electric moment, it feels like a gunshot. His expression doesn't change, doesn't harden into anger or flash with violence. He just watches me, studies me, like I'm a puzzle he's just decided to solve. Then his lips move, not a smile, something darker. Acknowledgement, recognition. I see you, that look says, and I won't forget. Behind him, the man with the gun pulls the trigger. The sound breaks the spell. I stumble backward, my survival instincts finally overriding my stupid, suicidal curiosity. I don't look to see if the kneeling man is dead. I don't wait to see if anyone's chasing me. I just run. Down the stairs, through the crowd, past Marcus, who shouts something I don't hear, out the front entrance into the October night that feels like ice water after the club's suffocating heat. I run for 3 blocks before my lungs give out and I collapse against a bodega wall, gasping, shaking, my camera clutched against my chest like it's the only solid thing in a world that just tilted sideways. What the hell did I just see? What the hell did I just photograph? And why? Why? Can I still feel his eyes on me, burning through the darkness like a brand? 4 days later, I haven't slept. Not really. I've done that thing where you lie in bed with your eyes closed and your brain screaming, replaying the same 30 seconds on loop until you can't tell what's memory and what's nightmare. I see his face every time I blink. Those eyes. That moment of recognition. The way he looked at me like I was already his, and he was just waiting for me to figure it out. I'm losing my mind. Sienna, you look like death, my roommate Jade announces, leaning against my bedroom doorframe with her usual tact. Have you eaten anything besides coffee today? Coffee isn't food? That's not funny. You're spiraling. What happened at that club shoot? I witnessed a murder and made eye contact with the most dangerous man I've ever seen, and now I can't stop looking at his photograph. Nothing. Just, the club scene isn't really my thing. Too loud. Jade narrows her eyes. She's known me since freshman year at NYU. She has a finely tuned bullshit detector. You're lying. You're also still in the same clothes you wore yesterday, and you've been staring at your laptop for 16 hours. What's going on? I look down at my screen, at the photo folder labeled Inferno, Do Not Open. I've opened it 400 times. The images from that night are good, great even. Marcus loved them. The magazine is running the spread next week, but there's one photo I didn't send, one photo I can't send, one photo I should delete but can't bring myself to. Him. It's not a perfect shot. The angle is wrong, the lighting challenging, the focus slightly soft because my hands were shaking. but his face is clear. Those eyes, locked on the camera. On me. I've zoomed in so many times I know every detail. The thin scar through his left eyebrow, the sharp line of his jaw, the way his lips are slightly parted, like he was about to speak, the cold authority in his posture, even seated. I've also done something stupider. I reverse image searched him. Nothing. No social media, no business profiles, no digital footprint at all, which in 2024 is essentially impossible unless you're actively hiding. But I kept digging. I found an archived Italian newspaper article from 6 years ago, some charity gala in Florence. There's a photo of several men in tuxedos, and in the background, slightly out of focus, is him. The caption mentions, "Members of the Santoro family." Santoro. I know that name. Everyone who's watched a Mafia documentary knows that name. One of the 5 families. Old money, old power, old violence dressed up in Armani suits and philanthropy. Sienna. Jade's voice snaps me back. Seriously, you're scaring me. I'm fine. You're not. And you're about to do something stupid, I can tell. You have that look. The same look you had before you decided to photograph that protest that got you tear-gassed. That won National Geographic's attention. That also got you arrested. Whatever this is, don't. But I'm already opening my email, already attaching the photo, already typing Detective Morrison's address, the cop I lied to 4 days ago, the one investigating the gallery massacre. Because here's what I've realized in my sleepless delirium. If he's Santoro family, if he's connected to organized crime, maybe he's connected to other crimes, maybe this photo is evidence, maybe I can do something good with this terrible, dangerous moment. My finger hovers over send. Sienna. A knock at the door interrupts her. We both freeze. It's 11 p.m. on a Thursday. We're not expecting anyone. Our apartment building has a buzzer system. No one should be able to reach our door without being let in. Did you order food? Jade whispers. I shake my head. Another knock, louder, more insistent. NYPD. A male voice calls through the door. We need to speak with Sienna Hayes. Jade's eyes go wide. I close my laptop with shaking hands, my heart suddenly in my throat. The police. Here. Now. Did someone see me at the club? Did they find the photo somehow? Miss Hayes, please open the door. This is regarding the Inferno incident. Jade looks at me. What Inferno incident? I stand on legs that feel like water and move to the door, checking the peephole first. There are 2 men in suits, badges visible. They look legitimate. They also look tired and annoyed, the universal expression of overworked cops. I open the door with the chain still attached. Can I see those badges up close? The first man, early 40s, graying temples, the kind of face that's seen too much, holds his badge up to the gap. Detective Chen, it reads. Manhattan North Homicide. Homicide. Oh, God. We just have a few questions, he says, his voice softer now. Can we come in? I shouldn't let them in without a lawyer. I've watched enough crime shows to know that, but I also know that refusing looks guilty, and I haven't done anything wrong except witness something terrible and photograph someone dangerous. I unlatch the chain. The 2 detectives step inside, their eyes sweeping over our tiny apartment with professional assessment. Exits, windows, potential weapons. The second detective is younger, Asian American, her sharp gaze landing on my camera bag by the door. I'm Detective Chen. This is Detective Park, the first one says. We're investigating a homicide that occurred at Inferno nightclub 4 nights ago. We understand you were there working as a photographer. My mouth is so dry I can barely speak. I was, for Manhattan Nightlife magazine. It was just the assignment. Did you go upstairs, to the private level? The question is casual, too casual. They already know. There was a staircase. I might have gone up there briefly, for different angles. Might have, Detective Park says, her tone sharper. Miss Hayes, we have security footage that shows you on the 2nd floor at approximately 1:47 a.m. You were there for 3 minutes. During that time, a man named Vincent Calabrese was executed in one of the private rooms. The word executed lands like a fist to my stomach. I didn't see anything, I lie, and it's as unconvincing as the first time I lied to the police. You're a photographer, Chen says, gesturing to my camera bag. Did you take any photos upstairs? This is it. The moment where I decide who I am, the moment where I either tell the truth and become a witness in a Mafia murder investigation, or I lie and become complicit. I think about that photo on my laptop. His face. Those eyes. I see you. And I won't forget. No, I hear myself say. I didn't take any photos upstairs. It was too dark. Bad lighting. Detective Park doesn't believe me. I can see it in the way her jaw tightens, the way her eyes narrow just slightly. But Chen just nods, pulling out a card and handing it to me. If you remember anything, if you find any photos you might have forgotten about, call me immediately. Witnesses in cases like this tend to have short life expectancies if they're not under protection. It's a threat and a promise wrapped together. They leave. The door closes. Jade stares at me like I've just grown a second head. What the actual fuck, Sienna? I don't answer. I'm already moving back to my laptop, opening the photo folder, staring at his face. Santoro. He's Santoro family. He ordered that execution. And I have proof. But instead of sending it to Detective Morrison, instead of doing the right thing, I close the email draft. Because here's the truth I don't want to admit. I'm not afraid. I should be. I should be terrified. I should be booking a flight to anywhere but here and deleting every file and pretending that night never happened. But when I look at that photo, at those eyes staring back at me through pixels and memory, I don't feel fear. I feel seen, recognized. Like in that 3-second eternity, he didn't just memorize my face. He claimed something in me I didn't know existed. And God help me, I want to know what happens next. 2 days later, Saturday night. The flowers arrive at 6 p.m. white roses. 24 of them, arranged in a crystal vase that probably costs more than my rent. No card, no note, just impossible perfection delivered to my door by a courier who refuses to tell me who sent them. Jade is out, some date with a guy from her Pilates class, so I'm alone when I lift one of the roses and notice what's tucked beneath the petals. A phone. Not my phone. A burner. Sleek, black, expensive. The kind of untraceable device you see in spy movies. It buzzes in my hand. One new message. I should throw it away, should call Detective Chen, should do literally anything except open this message. I open the message. You have something that belongs to me. My heart stops, restarts, races. I type back with shaking fingers. Who is this? The response is immediate. You know who I am. You've been staring at my photo for 6 days. Oh God, he knows. He knows I took the photo. He knows I've been obsessing over it. He's been watching me. How do you know that? The same way I knew you were at Inferno. The same way I knew where you live. I make it my business to know things, Sienna. He used my name, like we're acquainted, like this is normal. Are you gonna kill me? I hate how my hands shake typing it. Hate the vulnerability. Hate that I'm even engaging with this. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. I want something else. The photo. No. I want you to keep the photo. I want you to look at it and remember that moment. The moment you saw who I really am and didn't run. The moment our eyes met and you felt it too. Felt what? I want to ask. But I already know. That electric connection, that impossible recognition, the sense that something fundamental shifted in the universe and neither of us can undo it. What do you want from me? The 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again, like he's choosing his words carefully. Dinner. I laugh. It's a slightly hysterical sound in my empty apartment. You murdered someone and now you want dinner? I've done many things, Bella. That was just business. This is personal. I could go to the police. You could. You won't. You've had 6 days to turn me in. Instead, you've been memorizing my face. Tell me I'm wrong. He's not wrong. God help me, he's not wrong. Why me? The question I've been asking myself for 6 sleepless days. Out of everyone in that club, everyone who could have wandered upstairs, why did it have to be me? Why did our eyes have to meet? His response takes longer this time. Because in a life where everyone fears me, you looked at me like you were trying to understand me, because in that moment you saw a monster and didn't flinch. You took a photograph. Because I've spent 34 years memorizing faces for survival, and yours is the only one I can't stop seeing. I should be terrified. This is textbook manipulation, Stockholm Syndrome before the kidnapping, every red flag psychology ever invented. But my heart is pounding for reasons that have nothing to do with fear. One dinner, and then you decide. Decide what? Whether to forget you ever saw me, or whether to let me show you who I really am. This is insane. This is dangerous. This is every true crime podcast come to life. I type, when? Tomorrow, 8 p.m., a car will pick you up. Wear something beautiful. Not for me. I've already decided you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. For you. So you feel like the queen you're about to become. Then, and Sienna? Don't tell anyone where you're going. This world has rules. The first is, what happens between us stays between us. The second is, I protect what's mine. You're mine now. You just don't know it yet. The phone goes dark. I stand in my apartment, surrounded by white roses and the lingering scent of expensive cologne. I only now realize perfumes the air, and I make the decision that will either ruin my life or change it forever. I text back, I'll be ready. Sunday, 7:45 p.m. The black dress is probably a mistake. It's the most expensive thing I own, a splurge from when Vogue paid me for that portfolio, silk that clings to every curve and falls to just above my knees. I paired it with heels I can barely walk in and the bare minimum of jewelry. I look like I'm trying. I hate that I'm trying. Jade still isn't home. I left her a note that says, out with a source, back later, which is vague enough to not be a complete lie. At exactly 8 p.m., my phone buzzes. Not the burner, my actual phone. Your car is here. I look out the window. A black Mercedes is idling at the curb, sleek and dangerous and utterly out of place on my middle-class Brooklyn street. This is my last chance to back out, to delete the photo, block the number, pretend this is all some fever dream. Instead, I grab my purse and walk downstairs. The driver doesn't speak, just opens the door with the mechanical efficiency of someone who's done this 1,000 times. The interior smells like leather and something darker, gun oil maybe, or just the scent of money and violence. We drive for 30 minutes, leaving Brooklyn behind and crossing into Manhattan, not downtown where the restaurants are. Uptown, the kind of uptown where buildings have doormen and history and price tags that include multiple commas. The car pulls up to a townhouse in the Upper East Side. 4 stories of elegant brownstone, ivy climbing the facade, windows glowing warm against the October darkness. The driver opens my door. He's expecting you. I step out on shaking legs. The front door opens before I reach it, but it's not him. It's a woman, mid-50s, elegant in that timeless way Italian women master, her dark hair streaked with silver and pulled into a chignon. She's wearing a simple black dress and pearls, and her eyes sweep over me with the assessing gaze of someone who's seen everything and judges accordingly. Sienna Hayes, she says, and it's not a question. Her accent is thick, beautiful. I am Lucia. I manage Mr. Santoro's household. Please come in. Mr. Santoro. So it's real. The name I found in that archived article, the family I've been obsessing over. I follow her inside. The interior is exactly what I'd expect. Old money elegance, marble floors, oil paintings that are probably originals, a staircase that curves upward with the kind of craftsmanship they don't make anymore. But it's not cold. There are fresh flowers on the console table, warm lighting, the faint scent of something cooking that makes my stomach remember I haven't eaten all day. Mr. Santoro will join you shortly, Lucia says, leading me to a sitting room off the main hallway. May I bring you wine? Yes, thank you. She disappears, and I'm left alone in a room that feels like a museum. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a fireplace with actual flames, leather furniture that looks both antique and comfortable. The art on the walls is stunning. Renaissance pieces mixed with modern photography, an eclectic taste that suggests whoever lives here has depth. On the mantel, there's a photograph in a silver frame. A family portrait. Old, maybe 15 years. A man and woman, both dark-haired and elegant, flanked by two boys, one teenager, one younger. The older boy has familiar eyes. Him, before the scars, before the coldness, when he still knew how to smile. "My parents," a voice says behind me, and I spin around so fast I nearly drop my purse. He's standing in the doorway. And God, the photograph didn't do him justice. In person, he's taller than I remembered, at least 6'2", all lean muscle in dark slacks and a white shirt rolled to his elbows. No jacket, no tie. The casual intimacy of it feels more vulnerable than nudity. His hair is still pushed back, slightly damp like he just showered, and I can see the tattoo now. Black ink curling up his left forearm, some kind of script I can't read from here. But it's his face that ruins me. Those eyes, dark, intense, fixed on me with the same consuming attention I remember from the club. That sharp jaw, the cruel beauty of his mouth. And something new. Uncertainty. Just a flicker, gone almost immediately, but I saw it. He's nervous. The realization is staggering. This man who orders executions like ordering coffee is nervous about having dinner with me. "They died 6 years ago," he continues, moving into the room with the predatory grace of someone always aware of his body in space. "Car accident. Wrong place, wrong time. Ironic, considering how careful we are in my world." "I'm sorry," I say, and I mean it. He stops a few feet away, close enough that I can smell his cologne, cedar and bergamot. Expensive and subtle, far enough that I don't feel trapped. "You came," he says softly. "I wasn't sure you would." "I wasn't sure I would either. But you did. Why?" The honest answer is too complicated, too revealing. So I deflect. "You haven't told me your name, your real name." Something flickers in his expression. Appreciation, maybe. "Raphael Santoro. The Santoro family. You've done your research." "I'm good at research, it's part of the job." "Photography," he says, and there's something in his voice. Admiration? "I've seen your work. The Vogue portfolio, the National Geographic series on refugees. You're talented, more than talented. You see the world differently. I don't know what to do with this, with him knowing me, with him having looked me up the same way I looked him up." "Raphael," I test the name, and his eyes darken at the sound of it in my mouth. "Why am I here?" "Really?" He takes a step closer, then another, until I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. "Because 6 days ago, you looked at me, and I forgot how to breathe," he says, his voice low and rough. "Because in a life full of people who lie and fear and scheme, you pointed a camera at me and captured the truth. Because I've spent 34 years building walls, and you walked through them without even trying." His hand lifts, slowly, giving me time to pull away, and brushes a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers are warm, calloused. They linger against my cheek for a heartbeat too long. "And because," he continues, his thumb tracing my jawline with devastating gentleness, "you're the first person in a decade who's looked at me and seen a man instead of a monster, even if I am both. I should step back, should remember who he is, what he does, should protect myself. But when he looks at me like that, like I'm something precious and dangerous and wholly consuming, all my self-preservation dissolves into this terrible, beautiful want. 'I don't know you,' I whisper. 'No,' he agrees, his hand dropping away, leaving my skin cold where he touched. 'But you will, if you let me, if you're brave enough to stay for dinner and let me try to explain why everything in my world is dark except you.' Lucia appears in the doorway, saving me from having to respond. 'Dinner is ready, Mr. Santoro.' He extends his hand. An invitation, a choice. I take it. His fingers close around mine, strong, possessive, careful, and he leads me toward whatever comes next. And I realize with startling clarity that I stopped trying to protect myself the moment our eyes met in that club. I was already his. I just needed him to catch me. The dining room is smaller than I expected. Intimate. A table set for two with candles and wine glasses that catch the light like liquid diamonds. The windows overlook a private garden. Impossible luxury in Manhattan, where fairy lights twinkle in the October darkness. Lucia serves the first course. Some kind of pasta that smells like heaven and garlic and my Italian grandmother's kitchen, if I'd had an Italian grandmother, and then disappears with the quiet efficiency of someone who knows when to be invisible. We're alone. Raphael sits across from me, and in the candlelight he looks softer, more human. The shadows that make him terrifying in the club are just shadows here, flickering across a face that's watching me like I'm the only thing in the world worth watching. "You're not eating," he observes. "I'm processing." Processing what? The fact that I'm having dinner with a man who murdered someone 6 days ago. The words come out sharper than I intended, but I'm tired of pretending this is normal. "You did, didn't you? Order that execution?" He doesn't flinch, doesn't deflect, just sets down his fork and meets my eyes with that devastating directness. "Yes." "Why?" "Because Vincent Calabresi stole from my family. Not money, that's replaceable. He stole shipment manifests and sold them to the Russians. 3 of my men died in the ambush that followed. Good men, men with families." "So you killed him?" "I gave the order. Marco pulled the trigger. But yes, the responsibility is mine." I should be horrified. Should be gathering my purse and calling a cab and blocking his number and maybe also calling Detective Chen. But I'm thinking about the refugee series I photographed for National Geographic, the village in Syria where I spent 3 weeks documenting families destroyed by war. The way one woman told me, through a translator, that she'd killed the soldier who murdered her husband. Not with regret, with pride. Justice isn't always legal, sometimes it's just necessary. "You think I'm a monster," Raphael says quietly. "I think you're a man in a world I don't understand, making choices I'll never have to make." Something shifts in his expression. Relief, maybe? Or recognition. Most people don't make that distinction. Most people haven't seen the things I've seen through a camera lens. Violence isn't always evil. Sometimes it's just survival dressed in expensive suits. He leans back in his chair, studying me with renewed intensity. "You're not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "Fear. Judgment. Maybe some misguided attempt to save my soul." His lips curve, not quite a smile, but close. "Instead, you're sitting here, analyzing moral philosophy while your pasta gets cold." I take a bite. It's incredible. Rich and perfectly seasoned, and the kind of food that makes you understand why people write poetry about Italy. "Did you make this?" "Lucia did. But I taught her the recipe. My mother's. She believed that a man who could cook could survive anything." "Were you close? With your mother?" The question lands heavier than I intended. His expression shudders for just a moment, and I see the boy from that photograph, the one who still knew how to smile. "She was the best person I've ever known," he says finally. "Kind, strong. She knew what my father did, what our family is, but she chose love anyway. She used to say that darkness is only powerful if you let it consume you, that we always have a choice." "Do you believe that?" "I used to." He reaches for his wine, and I notice his hand isn't quite steady. "Then she died, and my father followed 6 months later from grief disguised as a heart attack, and I inherited an empire built on blood. 28 years old and suddenly responsible for 300 families who depend on Santoro protection. I didn't choose this life, Sienna. It chose me." The vulnerability in his voice cracks something open in my chest. "You could have walked away." "Could I?" He sets down his glass with controlled precision. "You know what happens to men who try to leave my world? They end up like Vincent. Or worse, their families do. The only way out is death. So I stayed. I learned. I became what I needed to become to keep my people safe." "And what's that?" He looks at me, and in his eyes I see the weight of 6 years carrying an empire he never wanted. The monster everyone expects me to be. I reach across the table, foolish, impulsive, and lay my hand over his. His skin is warm, scarred across the knuckles from violence I don't want to imagine. I don't see a monster, I say softly. I see a man trying to survive in an impossible situation. That doesn't erase what you've done, but it explains it. His fingers turn, capturing mine, his thumb tracing circles on my palm that send electricity up my arm. You're dangerous, Bella. More dangerous than any enemy I've faced. Why? Because you make me want things I gave up wanting years ago. Normal things. Dinner with a beautiful woman who sees me, waking up next to someone who doesn't flinch when I reach for them, a life that's more than just surviving until the next threat. My heart is pounding so hard I'm sure he can hear it. Raphael? I'm not asking for those things, he interrupts, his grip tightening. I know what I am. I know what being with me would cost you. I just needed you to know that for 6 days, you've been the only light in a very dark world. And whatever happens next, whether you walk away tonight or stay for another hour, or somehow let me convince you I'm worth the risk, I need you to know that you mattered. That moment in the club, when you looked at me and didn't look away, you reminded me I'm still human. I can't breathe, can't think, can't do anything except feel the warmth of his hand and the intensity of his gaze and the terrible certainty that I'm already in too deep to save myself. Tell me about that moment, I whisper. What did you see when you looked at me? He's quiet for a long moment, his eyes searching mine like he's trying to decide how much truth I can handle. I saw a woman who was terrified but stayed anyway, he finally says, who looked at violence and instead of running, tried to document it, tried to understand it, and when our eyes met, I saw recognition. Like you knew me, not my name or my family, but me. The part of me I keep buried under layers of control and violence and responsibility. He stands, still holding my hand, and moves around the table until he's beside me. Until I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact, my breath catching at his proximity. And I saw beauty, he continues, his free hand rising to cut my face with devastating gentleness. Not just physical, though you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, but the kind of beauty that comes from courage and curiosity, and a soul that still believes the world is worth documenting despite all its darkness. His thumb brushes across my cheekbone, my lips. I'm trembling and I don't care. I saw my future, he whispers, and for the first time in 6 years, I wanted to live to see it. I should say something, should process this impossible confession, but before I can find words, his phone buzzes, harsh and insistent, shattering the moment. He closes his eyes, jaw tightening, and I see the mask slide back into place, the vulnerability disappearing behind cold authority. I'm sorry, he says, stepping back and pulling out his phone. I have to take this. He moves to the window, his back to me, and answers in rapid Italian. I don't speak the language, but I understand tone, and his tone goes from irritated to furious to something darker in the span of 30 seconds. He ends the call and stands there for a moment, his shoulders rigid with tension, before turning back to me. The warmth is gone from his eyes. Now they're the eyes from the club, cold, calculating, dangerous. What's wrong? I ask, standing on shaking legs. You need to leave, now. The words hit like a slap. What? Why? Because someone knows you're here. Someone saw you get in my car, followed you to my home, and just sent photographic proof to my enemies. He's already moving, pulling his phone out again, typing something with sharp, angry jabs. They know I have a weakness now, which means you're a target. My stomach drops. A target for what? He looks at me, and I see something I haven't seen before in his expression. Fear, not for himself, for me, for anyone who wants leverage against me, for the families who want my territory, for the Russians who want revenge for their lost alliance with Vincent. He crosses to me, his hands gripping my shoulders with barely controlled intensity. I was selfish. I knew bringing you here was dangerous, but I did it anyway because I wanted—" He cuts himself off, shaking his head. "It doesn't matter what I wanted. You need protection. I'll go home. I'll be careful." "Home?" His laugh is bitter. "Bella, your home is the first place they'll look. Your studio, your friends, every place you've ever felt safe. None of it is safe anymore. Not if they decide you matter to me." "Do I?" The question escapes before I can stop it. "Matter to you?" He pulls me against his chest, sudden, desperate, and I feel his heart pounding as hard as mine. More than I should allow, more than is smart, more than I can admit without putting you in even more danger. His hand slides into my hair, tilting my face up to his, and for one breathless moment, I think he's going to kiss me. His lips are so close I can feel his breath, taste the wine, sense the restraint that's holding him back. "I can protect you," he says against my mouth, his voice rough with something between promise and prayer. "But you have to trust me. You have to let me take you somewhere safe until I eliminate this threat. And you have to understand that the moment you agree, your life changes. There's no going back to who you were before you walked up those club stairs." My hands are fisted in his shirt. When did I grab his shirt? How long? Days, maybe weeks. Depends how fast I can send a message that you're untouchable. And if I say no? If I take my chances? His arms tighten around me. "Then I'll have men watching you every second anyway. You'll see them or you won't, but they'll be there. Because I've spent 6 years protecting people I don't care about. I'm sure as hell not going to fail at protecting the one person who's made me feel human. This is insane. This is every true crime documentary come to life. I should call the police, should call Detective Chen, should do anything except melt into the arms of a man who murders people and somehow makes it sound like poetry." "Where would you take me?" I ask instead. "I have a house, upstate, private, secure. No one knows about it except my inner circle. You'd be safe there while I handle this." "Handle it how?" His expression darkens. "The less you know, the better you sleep." "I haven't slept in 6 days, Raphael. I don't think that's going to change regardless." Something flickers in his eyes. Surprise, appreciation, heat. "You're not afraid of me." "I should be." "But you're not." "No," I admit, and it's the truest thing I've said all night. "I'm afraid of how much I want to say yes, how much I want to trust you, how much I want to stay in this moment and pretend the world outside doesn't exist." His forehead drops to mine, his breath ragged. "Say yes, Sienna. Let me keep you safe. Let me prove I'm more than the monster you saw in that club." "You don't have to prove anything." "Yes, I do." His hands frame my face, thumbs brushing away tears I didn't realize I was crying. "Because 6 days ago, you looked at me and saw something worth photographing, and I need to know if that something is real. If I can be the man you saw in that split second instead of the man I've become." A crash from somewhere in the house makes us both freeze. Raphael's entire body goes rigid, his hand moving to the small of his back where I now realize he's been carrying a gun this entire time. "Get behind me," he orders, his voice gone cold and tactical. "Raffaele?" "Behind me, now." I move, my heart in my throat, as he positions himself between me and the door. The sounds are clearer now, shouting in Italian, something heavy hitting the floor, Lucia's voice raised in protest. The dining room door slams open. A man staggers in, mid-40s, expensive suit soaked in blood, his face a mask of pain and fury. He's holding a gun, but it's pointed at the floor, his arm clearly injured. "Nico," Raphael says, and his voice is pure ice. "What the hell happened?" "Ambush," the man, Nico, gasps, leaning against the doorframe. "At the warehouse. The Russians knew we'd be there. They knew, Raphael. Someone told them." "How many?" "6 of ours. Dead or wounded. Marco got me out, but they're coming. They wanted me to lead them here." Raphael curses in Italian, fluid and vicious. Then his eyes cut to me, and I see the decision forming before he speaks. "Lucia!" he shouts. "Bring the car around. Back entrance. Now!" The older woman appears, her face pale but composed. Yes, Mr. Santoro. Raphael turns to me, and the man who was holding me minutes ago is gone. This is the Don, the leader, the one who makes impossible decisions and lives with the consequences. We're leaving, right now. No bags, no goodbyes, no time to think. You're coming with me, and I will keep you alive. Do you understand? I should say no. Should run, should choose literally any option except getting deeper into this nightmare. But when I look at his face, at the fierce determination and barely controlled fear, I know the truth. I stopped having a choice the moment our eyes met. I understand, I whisper. He grabs my hand, and we run. 3 hours later, location unknown. The safe house isn't what I expected. I was picturing something industrial, cold, a bunker with concrete walls and the aesthetic of a prison cell. Instead, it's a cabin, upstate New York based on the drive time, 2 hours of back roads and silence, and Raphael's hand never leaving mine, wood and stone and windows that overlook a private lake reflecting moonlight like scattered diamonds. It's beautiful. This was my mother's, Raphael says, locking the door behind us and immediately moving to the windows to close heavy shutters. She bought it before she met my father. Her escape, she called it. Somewhere that didn't belong to the family, just to her. Does anyone else know about it? Marco, Lucia, my brother. He finishes securing the windows and turns to face me, and in the lamplight he looks exhausted, human. That's it. We're safe here. Safe. The word feels foreign. I'm standing in a cabin with a mafia boss, having fled an ambush, my entire life imploding in real time. Nothing about this is safe, but when Raphael crosses to me, when his hands cup my face with that same devastating gentleness, I feel safer than I've felt in 6 days. I'm sorry, he says quietly. This isn't what I wanted for you, for us. What did you want? More time. A normal courtship. If anything about this can be normal. Dinners and conversations and slow discovery. His thumb traces my bottom lip. The chance to make you fall for me before you saw how dark my world really is. Maybe I don't want slow, I whisper, surprising myself. Maybe I'm tired of playing it safe and analyzing everything and being the responsible one. Maybe I looked at you in that club and felt something reckless. His eyes darken. Don't say things like that unless you mean them. Why? Because I've been restraining myself all night. Because I want you in ways that terrify me. Because if you give me permission, I won't be able to stop at one kiss. My heart is trying to escape my chest. Who said I want you to stop? The sound he makes is almost a growl. Then his mouth is on mine, hot, desperate, claiming, and every nerve ending I have ignites. He kisses like he does everything else, with absolute authority and devastating precision. His lips are soft but demanding, his tongue tracing the seam of my mouth until I open for him with a gasp. One hand tangles in my hair, the other presses against the small of my back, pulling me flush against him. I can feel every hard plane of his body, the gun still tucked in his waistband, the thundering of his heart, the restraint that's barely holding him back from taking more. When he finally pulls away, we're both gasping. Sienna. My name is a prayer and a curse on his lips. We should stop. Why? Because you've had a traumatic night. Because I don't want you making decisions you'll regret when reality sets in. Because... He closes his eyes, pressing his forehead to mine. Because you deserve better than falling for a man who can't promise you tomorrow. I frame his face with my hands, forcing him to look at me. What if I don't want promises? What if I just want this moment, this truth? And what truth is that? That 6 days ago we saw each other, really saw each other, and that's worth more than all the tomorrows that come with lies. His control snaps. He kisses me again, deeper, hungrier, walking me backward until my back hits the wall. His hands are everywhere, tangling in my hair, sliding down my sides, gripping my hips like he's trying to memorize the shape of me through touch alone. I'm drowning in him, in the taste of wine and want, in the way he whispers my name between kisses like it's sacred, in the realization that this dangerous, impossible, reckless thing is the most alive I've felt in years. Then his phone rings. The sound cuts through the moment like a blade. He tears himself away from me, cursing in Italian, and answers with a sharp, "What?" I watch his expression change. Harden. Go deadly. When? A pause. Are you certain? Another pause. Longer. No. Keep her there. I'm coming. He ends the call and looks at me, and I see something in his face that makes my blood run cold. What happened? Your roommate, Jade. His voice is carefully controlled, too controlled. The Russians took her 3 hours ago. They're holding her at a warehouse in Brooklyn, and they're demanding a trade. The world tilts. A trade for what? His jaw clenches. You. They want you in exchange for her life, and they've given us 12 hours to deliver, or they start sending pieces of her back to your apartment.